Guardians of the treasure. Friends, this incident belongs to the time when my grandmother was about 15-16 years old. At that time, she lived in a village of Sultanpur district in Uttar Pradesh, which was her maternal village. In those days, banjaras and nuts often traveled in groups. These nuts and banjaras used to move from one place to another, and wherever they found a densely populated area, they would set up their fair, perform acrobatics, and earn money. These banjaras were not always good people. Often, along with banjaras and nuts, groups of dacoits also used to roam. During the day, they would set up fairs, but at night, they would loot. Therefore, knowledgeable villagers often did not allow such nut fairs to be set up near their villages. Once such a fair was set up a little distance away from my grandmother's village. The village children often insisted on going there, but no one was allowed to go. Not only this, the villagers had forbidden children from going to the fields and even from playing outside in the afternoon. Children felt very bad about it, but in front of elders, children had no say. Therefore, unwillingly, the children only played outside the house as long as some elder was with them. My grandmother watched all this daily. This continued for about a month, as long as the nut fair remained there. Grandmother found it very strange. Whether they were nuts or dacoits, why were children kept under such restrictions? The only answer children got was that the nuts would kidnap them. For about a month, children lived under restriction and elders under a shadow of fear. Despite all these restrictions, one day around 10 in the morning, there was a lot of commotion in the village. It was discovered that a neighboring small boy, about 10 years old, had come out of his house and gone missing. The whole village searched for him, but there was no trace of him. Finally, all the strong men of the village began searching loudly and intensely. They probably knew of the coming danger. They searched every inch of the village and fields, and when it was confirmed that the boy was not in the village, all the men gathered and without delay took their sickles, axes, hoes, and other tools and moved toward the nut group. At the boy's house, there was loud crying and mourning. Neighbors were expressing their suspicions and repeatedly searching, but nothing helped. On the other hand, when the men reached near the Banjara's fair, they were shocked. Everything was empty. Only ashes of stoves and marks of tent poles remained. Now everyone's suspicion had turned into certainty. The boy had been kidnapped by the nuts. The villagers began to make a strategy about what to do next. Everyone decided to go in different directions because transportation facilities were limited and it was impossible for the Banjaras to have gone very far. But not everyone had the strength to fight them as they were skilled fighters, so it was necessary to plan. It was decided that some people would go in every direction, and as soon as someone got information, everyone would gather there. If nothing was found, everyone would reassemble in the village before 3 in the afternoon. Groups of 5 people set off in different directions. The group going west finally found their tracks and then their camp. They had no time to return and inform the others, so they waited for an opportunity and searched for the boy among their group. But there was no sign of the boy. They thought perhaps the boy was not with them because otherwise they would have kept him with them even if unconscious. They were about to lose hope when luck favored them. One man from their group went some distance away to attend to nature's call. The 5 decided to interrogate him. They attacked him from behind and struck him on the head with 2 sticks, knocking him unconscious. Then they loaded him on a cart and rushed toward their village as fast as possible, because his companions would surely come looking for him. They reached their village within half an hour. When others returned, they poured cold water from a pot on his head to revive him. As soon as he regained consciousness and saw the villagers around him, he panicked. But without being beaten, he did not say anything. When the villagers together started beating him beyond his endurance, he realized his life was in danger and finally told them where the boy was. What he said shocked everyone, and immediately some people went to call a renowned tantric from a nearby village, while others took him along in the direction he indicated. He revealed that their group leader had used the boy to make a Jivadhari, a living guardian. The boy's life was in danger. If he had to be saved, either the same tantric who had used him must be called, or someone more skilled than him. So the villagers went to bring the Siddha tantric from a nearby village. They returned quickly with the tantric and reached the place where the nut had led them. He showed a strangely inscribed stone and asked the villagers to dig there. The villagers started digging, while some kept beating and threatening him, saying that if anything happened to the child, they would bury him there. The tantric was very old. After understanding everything, he waited for the pit to be dug. After digging about 4 feet, a stone layer appeared, made of 3 or 4 stones. Carefully, everyone removed the stone layer. What they saw below did not bring any happiness. Below was a chamber-like space about 5 feet wide and 6 feet long. In it were 5 large earthen pots filled with gold and silver. Besides them lay the child dressed in new clothes, well prepared. His breathing was faint and irregular. A lamp was burning beside him, whose oil was almost finished and was about to go out. Everyone thought the child was dead and began beating the nut again badly. Then the tantric stepped forward and adjusted the wick of the lamp. The flame became brighter and the child opened his eyes. Everyone was overjoyed, but the child did not recognize anyone and looked at everyone as strangers. The tantric said, "This child is still alive, but he can survive only if he reaches my consecrated place, otherwise no one can save him. Take him to my place and make sure that this lamp does not go out. Keep adding oil and take good care of him until I tell you to extinguish it." Some people, along with the tantric, took the child on a cart to the tantric's place. What was done there was not seen by anyone, because the tantric performed the ritual alone. After about 1 hour, a man returned and informed that the tantric had instructed to extinguish the lamp. The lamp was extinguished and the child was now safe. He had also started recognizing everyone. From the treasure found there, a small portion was used to build a temple, and the rest was used by the village head for the marriages of poor children and for the welfare of the village. The nut's companions did not come to rescue him. The villagers kept him consigned for 1 week and then released him with a warning. Friends, that was the incident that happened there, but its real aspects were revealed later. If this incident had not happened, perhaps today we would not know such a great mystery. That mystery is this: the nuts who had come there were actually robber nuts. Their work was to set up a fair at a distance from a populated area and loot at night. When they accumulated a lot of treasure, they buried it underground. With them traveled a highly skilled tantric who used his powers to tell where the treasures were. It is these tantrics who create Jivadharis to guard their treasures. To make a Jivadhari, they would kidnap a child because it was difficult to do this with adults and easier to deceive children. They would feed the child his favorite foods so that he would not feel hungry at all. Then they would bathe him, dress him in new clothes, apply dye on his feet, kohl in his eyes, and special oil in his hair, and seat him properly. Then the tantric would perform his rituals, during which the child would lose his senses. The child would be endowed with different powers, and a lamp in his name would be lit beside him. After that, the leader of the tribe would come before him and say, "Look at me carefully and recognize me well. This treasure is mine and you are its guardian. Anyone who takes this treasure except me, you must not let him live. I will return and take my treasure, and after that you will be freed." After such tantric rituals, the child does not recognize the person but recognizes his soul. Then they would bury him in that pit along with the treasure and leave. As soon as the lamp went out, his soul would take the form of an extremely powerful entity. For months, years, even centuries, if they did not return, this power would continue guarding the treasure. Whether that person comes in this birth or another, this power recognizes only his soul and does not stop him from taking the treasure. Often you have seen that sometimes someone finds hidden treasure. These Jivadharis recognize their soul and do not stop them. Friends, this practice is cruel, but even kings used it in those days. But in those days, people were very honest and would willingly become Jivadharis for their king. You must have seen that some tantrics can defeat these Jivadharis. This is possible only with Jivadharis who were created in childhood. But the Jivadharis of kings cannot be defeated because they willingly sacrifice themselves in youth and become extremely powerful. Their honesty itself becomes their greatest power. The end.